When you start out in iRacing, 2k iRating is one of the first big milestones that everyone aims for. It's only 650 iRating away from where you start from, so it should be easy, right? Well, ideally yes, but only 25% of iRacing are actually 2k and over. So why are so many people stuck behind this invisible wall? Today we're going to take a deeper look at the real reasons why and how we're going to break the 2k curse. So the first point that I have identified for people stuck below the 2k iRating ceiling is just people lacking the understanding of what part of the driving style is actually good or bad. I'm sure we all have a sort of preconceived notion before we get into a car of what is right and what is wrong, but we never really have any actual data to back it up. In short, you're probably lacking guidance, and this is what I can help people with through my personal coaching. I'm going to stick a pinned comment at the top of the comment section with a Discord link, and you guys can click on there and see all the information about coaching. If you want to book a session, just let me know in there and I'll get back to you on that one. But yeah, people who don't have any real sort of guidance or data to back up where they're going wrong, it just sort of leads them down a dark road of having bad habits. Now, when we all signed up, we just started driving. We didn't really study the top drivers or watch videos or streams to pick up on what they did. We just sort of drove. Now, naturally, you find a style that feels comfortable to you. You know, you're doing sort of fairly consistent lap times, you're not crashing, and you're typically finishing most races in the top half, so you assume that what you're doing is fine. But in reality, you're finishing mid-pack in sort of 1.5 to 2k SOFs, and actually what you're doing is just concreting bad habits into your brain. Chances are you're probably just doing a handful of laps to warm up, signing up for a race, and driving like you always do, hoping that the result will be different. Now, what you really should be doing is utilising something like driver coaching, or just simply studying faster drivers to pinpoint what parts of your driving style are slowing you down, and then you need to work to fix them. Be critical of yourself. You have to look at every single part of your driving style, from your steering input to your brake input to how you're picking up throttle and what kind of lines you're taking, how much curb you're taking in the specific corners, and just try and pick it apart. Stress test it against actual data from using Twitch streams or YouTube videos, or even like actual telemetry from, say, just for example, VRS, and compare it to coaches and see what part of your driving style is actually good and what part needs work. So the second point would be not understanding how to actually read telemetry or extract the relevant information. Now, as I just previously mentioned, using a telemetry tool to really pick apart your driving style is a really good way of improving, but if you don't actually understand how to read it, then that can also be a problem. So in iRacing, there is no shortage of information to help you improve. You have full access to cockpit and chase cameras, which make steering input and lines really easy to analyse. Studying faster drivers' braking points as well is another thing that you can pick up on. What gear they're taking corners in, how much they're turning the wheel, what line they're using, and even their straight line speed to figure out what kind of rear wing that they've got on. Now, of course, we don't have actual pedal inputs from the faster drivers, but for nowadays, most people are typically streaming their POV or have some kind of YouTube video of a guy of a similar skill level, so you can pick things up that way. Just try and use every single outlet that you've got. If you can't afford coaching or you don't want to pay for coaching, you can always use the information online through, as I mentioned before, YouTube and Twitch. There's loads of hours of content on there of top level drivers that you can go and watch and try and pick up on. And chances are, when you're watching these faster drivers and you see what they're doing, you're probably just thinking, wow, I can't do that. Instead, what you should be thinking of is, okay, this is where he's braking. If I brake there, I keep on running deep. So clearly, they're braking slightly harder than me. That's the mindset you should have. Take notes of what's different, and then go and experiment in a private test session for an hour. Make sure you get a fixed weather, which is something that I discussed in a previous video about how to do a weather sample. If you haven't seen that, I will stick a card on the screen to go and look at how you get a weather sample and then utilize that properly, and then just go and see what's possible. Now, point number 3 is more to do with racecraft as opposed to what you're physically doing with your pedals and wheel and such, but it is still somewhat relevant. So this point is more aimed at people who consistently blame others. Doesn't apply to all of you, of course, but it might be true for most of you. How many times have you been in a crash and you've instantly blamed the other guy for the incident? But rather than blaming the other guy, try and put as much of the blame on yourself as you possibly can. So if someone does run through the back of you in a braking zone and your first thought is he's just ran straight through me in the braking zone, what the fuck was that? Instead of just rage quitting the session or cursing the guy out, just take a second and go and watch the replay and try and attribute as much blame to yourself as possible. Ask yourself the question of, what could I have done to avoid this? Did I brake a few meters too early without realizing? Was I focusing too much on the mirror, worrying that the guy was going to hit me, and then that's what actually led to him hitting me? Just try and pick up on anything that you could have done differently that could influence a different outcome. Point number 4 is lacking an efficient practice routine. Now, I've heard a lot of drivers say that they haven't got enough time to practice, and for some, I'm sure this is true. We all have lives and have day jobs and families and such, so they don't get the luxury to just hop on the sim whenever they want. But for the majority, it's not a lack of time, it's just a lack of time management. So what I figured we would do for this section is try and make a quick schedule for you, which you can adjust for your own personal circumstances and your personal needs, just to try and get a bit more out of yourself and manage your time a little bit better. Now, if you want something fully bespoke, then again, you can contact me through Discord and we can get that sorted for you. But for now, we'll just do a roughly generic one, and we'll use it based on iRacing's weekly schedule. So as I say, we'll use iRacing's weekly schedule as a template, and as we all know, the new race week starts every Monday night or a Tuesday morning for those of us over the pond. We're going to target Tuesday as the first proper race day, as it's the first day of the week. SOFs are normally at their highest, it's normally the highest participation, besides sometimes the weekends are a little bit more, but generally the first day is pretty popular with everyone hopping on the new track. So what we're going to do is we're going to start preparing on the Sunday night. Nothing crazy, we're not going to be sitting doing a 3-hour practice session on a Sunday night. There are a lot of people who have work Monday morning, they're not going to want to do that, right? So what we're going to do is just allocate an hour at any point on the Sunday. All we're going to do in this first hour is just try and get your eye in. Just do some laps, start getting comfortable with the track, find your break points, learn where the track goes, and just gradually build your rhythm up and give yourself a banker lap time. The only objective for this session is just to get your eye in, get your bearings, and give yourself the correct foundations to build off of for the rest of the week. I always look at, preparing for races like building a house or just getting better in general. You look at it like building a house. If your foundations are all wonky, the house is going to, when you eventually build it upwards, it's going to go skewed and it can only go so high. If you've got the perfect foundations and you're building straight upwards, then the sky literally is the limit for how far you can go. So if you've got wonky foundations, then you can't build a straight house, or you can't increase your iRating. Your iRating can only go so high if the foundations are wonky, right? So the Sunday is just simply getting your eye in, nothing crazy. We're not going to touch the setup, we're not going to do any of that. Just do an hour of laps, get your bearings, get your eye in, and give yourself a banker to work off of for the rest of the week. Monday night is just going to be a continuation of Sunday, but this time we're going to be aiming for a little bit more refinement. So you're going to take what you did on the Sunday night, try and refine it a little bit, whether that's trying to fix your braking curve, based on things that you've learned in previous weeks. What have you been struggling with over the last couple of weeks? Have you been consistently running deep in corners? Have you been, overworking the front tyres and you're suffering from understeer as the stint goes on? Is the car getting oversteer where you're frying the tyres? Try and take a note of what you've been struggling with over the previous weeks, and every week try and take a small step forward to build on it. So the Monday night is just going to be refinement. Tuesday night, providing that obviously this is based on you working a 9 to 5, the Tuesday night is going to be, again, a little bit of practice, try and build even further on what you've done on the Monday, a little bit more refinement, see if the improvements are coming, and then if you're feeling up to it, sign up for a race and go and have a crack and see how you get on. Now, one key point is if you don't feel great, then avoid the race. I always operate on the premise of only ever race if you're 100% up for it. If you don't feel up for the race, that's fine. You don't have to race on the Tuesday, it's not a make or break thing. Just practice instead and try and find something else, or just simply take the night off and use that night to sort of absorb the information over the last couple of days. Maybe do a little bit of studying of, as I mentioned before, like YouTube clips and Twitch clips and things like that. Maybe try and find a high I-rated streamer that's streaming on a Tuesday night and just watch them and try and pick up a few points from them instead. Then Wednesday night, we're going to do the same thing. Again, just try and refine a little bit further from the Tuesday, build a little bit more, maybe do 30 minutes, 45 minutes, see if you can find a little edge before you then sign up for another race, and then go and see how that does. These first couple races of the week are just going to be a case of getting your eye in, figuring out what kind of weather to expect in the races, if you're doing multi-class stuff, how is the traffic behaving, is it pretty hectic at this track, do you really need to have your head on a swivel, or is it not quite as bad as you're expecting? These are all just learning experiences. The main iRating gains and the main progress that we're going to see is going to come later in the week, more Thursday, Friday, and especially Saturday, when most people are going to be racing for the majority of the day. So Thursday and Friday is where we can start to turn things up a little bit. You can start coming down on the actual practice. By this point you should be feeling pretty good. You've probably got about 3 or 4 hours of practice under your belt, ideally a couple races as well, so now you know what to expect. You're feeling fully comfortable with the track. You've got to a level that's better than you would have been if you had just been racing flat out since the Tuesday, and we can start to increase it a little bit. So maybe do 15 to 30 minutes of warm-up before your first race, sign up, do the race, see how it goes, and if you've got time, fire in a second one as well. So you're going to get 2 races in on the Thursday. Friday will be much of the same, and then Saturday is where we're going to try and target doing most of the races. Assuming you have some extra time on a Saturday, you can then maybe do 3 or 4 races, and then the same during the Sunday morning or afternoon, depending on how things are looking. Then by Sunday night, you're going to be back to practicing for the upcoming week again. So have a look at the schedule, see what you feel like racing. If you were doing P-Cut one week, there's nothing to say you can't go and do GT3 the next week. If you're focusing on farming iRating or gaining your safety rating, then I would advise just sticking with the one series at a time and really mastering that car. But when you get to the Sunday night, that's when we're going to focus on the upcoming week and start preparing. Most people aren't practicing at all for the upcoming week, or they maybe do 30 minutes and that's them. So you're already going to get one step ahead of them before the tracks even switch over. So you're going into the upcoming week one step ahead of the competition and putting yourself in the perfect opportunity to break that 2k barrier. And now the last point, and this one is quite a funny one because I've been here myself, and I'm sure everyone's been here at some point, but it's the stubbornness that starts to creep in. People start having a bad week. I mean, I've read so many stories on like Reddit and the iRacing forums about people saying that they've gotten up to 1,800 or 1,900 iRating and they feel really close to the 2k iRating, and then they have a rough week or so and then they drop right back down to like 1,300. If you're having a bad run of races, just stop signing up. Stop mashing your head against the wall hoping that something will change. If you're consistently losing iRating, it is clear that there is something wrong. There's something that you are doing wrong that is leading to consistently bad results. It's not always someone else's fault, or it's not always I just suck at this combo. It's just a case of you're doing something wrong and you need to fix it to turn your fortune round, rather than just signing up for the next race hoping the fortune will be different and then it's not, and you keep on doing it again and again and again. Just walk away. It's clear you need to go and practice something and improve something, and then come back later in the week once you feel like you've made some kind of progress or you've identified what is going wrong. So guys, that is the 5 main points I have for why so many people are stuck underneath this 2k iRating ceiling. They're trying to get to a level that they're not actually ready for. It doesn't take an awful lot of work to go from being a 1k driver to a 3k driver. It's actually remarkably easy if you follow the right steps and you stay disciplined. So yeah, as I say, if you guys are interested in some additional help and some coaching and stuff, the link is pinned at the top of the comments. Just simply join my Discord, shoot me a DM or pop a message in the coaching request, and I'm more than happy to help you guys. Or if you've just got any general questions, the Discord is also there for that as well. I don't mind helping people out wherever I can. But with that, thank you so much for watching guys. We'll see you next week, and take it easy.